Hi friends, welcome back. So as we said in the last class, we shall study about a new topic today, that is how do new laws come about. How do new laws come about? That is what we are going to see in today's class. How do new laws come about? The parliament has an important role in making laws. So we said in the last class also that one of the three functions of the parliament is to make law. That is the duty of the parliament. Nobody else can make law. They have to, all the members together, they have to discuss in the parliament and they have to make the law. And there are many ways through which this takes place, and it is often different groups in society that raise the need for particular law. So it is very often it is the people of the society or people of the country that they raise the issue that we need a law, that we need to protect the rights of the people. Therefore we need to write down or we need to prepare a new law. It is the people who feel the need and they combine and they make awareness programs, they make public speeches, they write in the newspapers and so on. So that way people are made aware about the need for a new law, and so they demand, and the MPs will take up that issue in the parliament and they will discuss on that one and they will finally arrive at a new law. That is how the law is formed in the parliament. An important role in parliament is to be sensitive to the problems faced by the people. That's why we elect our representatives, MPs, to the parliament, so that they can be sensitive to the needs of the people, the problems of the people. If the people in a certain area, they don't have employment, they have no means of livelihood, then it is the duty of that MP to raise that issue in the parliament and protect the rights of the people, provide employment to the people, provide food for the people and so on, development for the people. So it is the duty of every MP to raise the issue, the sensitive issue of the people of his constituency in the parliament and do something for them to protect their lives and property and so on. And let us read the following story to understand how the issue of domestic violence was brought to the attention of the parliament and the process adopted for this issue to become a law. So, in our country, domestic violence is very common. Husband beating the wife or wife beating the husband or father beating the children and sending out the children. So many, all these are domestic violence. The violence that is taking place within the family, between the members of the family, beating, abusing, not giving food, or making them to work hard, extra, etc. All these are part of domestic violence. So let us see that how this issue of domestic violence came to the notice of the parliament, and they were forced to make a law that will protect the people in the family. They will be protected from being abused by the powerful members of the family. Very often it is the husband who is powerful in the family and they will be misusing or they will be abusing the other members, especially the women, wife and daughters and so on. So let us see how the parliament made this law in order to protect the women or to reduce the domestic violence. So domestic violence refers to the injury or harm or threat of injury or harm caused by an adult male, usually the husband, against his wife. An injury may be caused by physically beating up the woman or by emotionally abusing her. An abuse of the women can include verbal, sexual and economic abuse. The Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 extends the understanding of the term domestic to include all women who live or have lived together in a shared household with the male member who is perpetrating the violence. So the parliament made it clear what do they understand by domestic violence. So domestic violence is often caused by the male member or the husband of the family, maybe to his wife or maybe to his mother or maybe to his daughter or maybe to his daughter-in-law and so on. So any member in the family, if he is abusing, maybe beating that person or verbally abusing, speaking bad words, getting angry all the time, shouting at them, all these are against the domestic violence. And it can be economic abuse, can be sexual abuse, can be verbal abuse, so any kinds of abuse that the person is giving to another person in that family, then at all will come under domestic violence. The person who is affected, he can or she can go to the police station, file a complaint against that person who is abusing, maybe the husband or maybe the father or maybe the brother. So can give a complaint against that person and the police will take the rest. They will arrest that person, produce them in the court and so on. So that is the new law which is helping the women to protect. So it is meant for protecting all the women, all the members of the family who are living together in a family. So they do not live under fear. They have got the protection of the law in order to get protection from the abuse of other members in the family. So it is narrated in our book about like a storyboard narration between two women. They are talking. So let us read through it and see how they made this aware, this need of the law. They made the MPs or the parliament aware about these needs. So first column takes place in October 2006. So there you can see the newspaper is there, and in the newspaper the story is given. The Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 passed. That means it is passed in the parliament and it has become a law. So that will happen in October 2006. So two women are talking about that. Shazia, did you read today's newspaper? Isn't it a great day for women? So she feels really happy that government has done something. Government has made a new law in order to protect the rights of women. And the other woman says, not just women, violence-free homes will benefit everyone. Kusum, it is taken such a long time to get this law passed. In fact, it began with establishing the need for a new law. So other woman says, it is going to help everyone, it is going to benefit everyone, that there will be a violence-free home. Suppose the husband or the father of the family starts fighting and abusing other members, then there will be no peace. Every day there will be violence, every day there will be drinking and so on. So the whole family atmosphere will be affected. Now this law is brought and the male member of the family will be scared to abuse other members, to beat other members. If they go and give case in the police station, then these fellow will be arrested and put in jail. So he is scared that women have got protection from the law. So he cannot simply beat anyone, he cannot simply abuse anyone. He has to respect everyone and treat everyone nicely. So that is a rule. Now let us go back to 1991, April 1991. From then onward it happened. So two women come to the office and they give complaint. I need advice. My husband beats me up. I haven't told anyone so far. I feel so ashamed. I can't go on like this anymore, but I have nowhere to go. So a woman comes and complains in the office about her husband. She is getting beaten up every day by her husband, and she is not telling to anyone. She is not complaining to the police or anybody because she feels shy to go around saying that she is beaten by the husband. But the moment I keep quiet, he is beating me more and more. Therefore, I cannot allow this to go on. So she is coming and asking the officer, please advise me, what can I do or what shall I do in order to escape from this harassment. Then one more woman is coming there. I am being ill-treated by my son and daughter-in-law. So that is the problem of a mother. Her son is married and her son and daughter-in-law, her son's wife, they are ill-treating her, not respecting her. They verbally abuse me. So every day they scold this mother. I have no access to my bank accounts. So she has got money in the bank, but the son is taking away everything. She has no access. They may even throw me out. So after some time I feel that they may throw me out of the house. I may have no place to stay. So please help me. So there are so many women in our country like this facing same problems, difficult problems in their life. So this new law is a real help for all of them. The law is there to protect them. I do not want to go to the police. I just want to stop the violence. One woman says, I don't want to go to police station and complain against my husband. I just want him to stop beating me. And another woman says, I just don't want to be thrown out of my house I am living in. Another woman says, my son may throw me out of the house, but I don't want to be out of my house. I want to continue to stay in my house. So unfortunately, the existing law is a criminal one and does not offer these options. So the officer told the law that we have is a criminal law. If the husband is doing some crime, then we can punish that person. But just because she is calling you, he is calling you or abusing you, there is no law for punishing. So the present law is not enough to punish this person. So we need to improve our law. So then we come to what happened in 1990s. The need for the new law was raised in different forums. So people were feeling that there should be a new law to protect the rights of women. So the protest was going on in the streets, the awareness program was going on in the street and so on. So there is a public gathering. We have heard testimonies of several women. We have seen that women want protection against being beaten, the right to continue living in a shared household and often temporary relief. And we need a new civil law to address this issue. So the women leaders, they are calling all the women and they are addressing that women have got so many problems. They are beaten by husband, they are thrown out from the house, they are not given food, they are made to work too hard without rest. All these problems are there. So they say we must have a new law. We must force the government to make a new law. So in 1991, lawyers in collective, a group of law students and activists, after nationwide consultation, took the lead in drafting the Domestic Violence Prevention and Protection Bill. This draft bill was widely circulated. So the lawyers, the students who are studying for law and the important leaders, they all sat together, discussed together and they made a new law. It did not become a law, but they wrote down what should be the law, what should be the content of the law in order to protect the rights of the women. So they wrote down this one and they gave to everyone copy so that others also can read and give their suggestions. Is anything more needed to be written in this law? Whether this is sufficient or not. So they wrote down and published, circulated widely. The definition of domestic violence should include physical, economic, sexual and verbal and emotional abuse. So they said, when we say the domestic violence means it can mean any type of violence, that it can be physical violence, that is beating and so on, then economic violence, not giving enough money for the wife or mother or other members of the family, or doing sexual violence, and verbal violence, speaking bad things, shouting, yelling and so on, and emotional abuse. Another one is emotionally abusing, speaking, making them sad and so on. So that is also abuse. The law should cover any woman living within a shared domestic space. They should be protected from being evicted from the shared household. So, they say a woman who is living in a house, whether she be mother or grandmother or wife or daughter, whoever may be, she should not be allowed to go away from the house. She should be protected in that house. She should be made to live in that house. And she also should be given sufficient monetary benefit to meet her private needs. She has to buy certain things that is needed for her life and so on. So the husband or the main member of the family, they have to make sure that things are given. Enough money is given to the members in order to buy these necessary things for the member of the family, especially the women. The women's movement wants a new law on domestic violence. The government should introduce it in the parliament. So the leaders, they wrote down, they kept all the suggestions of the people also included in this draft, and they gave to the parliament and told, you must discuss it in the parliament and make it a law, because women need protection in this country. They cannot be abused, they cannot be beaten, they cannot be kicked, they cannot be sent out from the family and so on. And finally, the bill was introduced in the parliament in 2002. So after all this discussion, only in the year 2002, the bill was introduced in the parliament. This bill has none of what we have been suggesting, and we must oppose the bill in its present form. Let us have a press conference. We could also start an online petition. So when the government took that bill to introduce in the parliament, all the suggestions that the women gave, they did not include. They removed all those things and suggested only their own ideas and passed, because most of the members of the parliament are men. So they don't want to give equal power to women. So they removed all that extra part that was suggested by the women. They removed all that and passed their own bill. And so women protested again. Whatever we suggested is not there. So this bill is not acceptable to us. This law is not acceptable to us. The law should be changed and must include what we have said also. So that was the decision of the women, and they spread more and more the awareness to the people. They said, we will make the people aware that this law is not okay. We need to improve this law. We need to include all that we suggested also. So several women's organizations, National Commission for Women, made submissions to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. So they gave complaint to the Parliamentary Committee. Esteemed members of the Parliamentary Standing Committee, the present bill must be changed. We do not agree with the definition of domestic violence being proposed. The law needs to provide for temporary custody of children. So women said, this law that you have discussed is not okay. We need to write the proper definition. What is the meaning of domestic violence? We said, the women suggested it can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be sexual, it can be verbal. So all that should be included in the definition of this bill, like a domestic violence. Then in December 2002, the Standing Committee submitted its recommendation to the Rajya Sabha, and these were also tabled in the Lok Sabha. The committee's report accepted most of the demands of the women's group. Finally, a new bill was reintroduced in Parliament in 2005. After being passed in both houses of Parliament, it was sent to the President for his assent. The Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act came into effect in 2006. So, they accepted the suggestions of the women, then they changed the bill, again sent to Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. They discussed together, then they realized that improvement is needed, then they sent to the President for final acceptance and final signature, and then in 2006 it became a new law to protect the women, to support the women. And at a press conference in October 2006, so after declaring this as a law, let us see what happened. What is this new law the women is discussing? So this law is first in recognizing the women's right to violence-free home and provides a comprehensive definition of domestic violence. So the women leaders are explaining to other women that this new law is the first law in recognizing the right of women to live a violence-free life. So they are allowed to live in their family without violence. Nobody should give any violence on them. There should be peace in the family. And also it is giving a very clear definition. What is the meaning of domestic violence? So before the law that was existing, it was not giving a very clear idea, but the new law is clearly defining what is the meaning of domestic violence, and the women have got the right to live a violence-free life in her own house. And this is the civil law aimed at providing relief to millions of women, daughters, mothers, wives and sisters affected by violence in their homes. So this law will give relief to the millions of women in our country. They may be mother, wife, daughter or daughter-in-law. They get a lot of protection, security from this law. So this new law, in order to help the rights of the women, it is really a wonderful one. It has improved the situation of women in our society, and they will be able to live a free life without tension, without worry, and they will have proper security. So this law is a very significant step because it recognizes the right of women to live in a shared household, and women can get a protection order against any further violence. Women can get monetary relief to meet their expenses, including medical costs. So after passing this law, women have got more power, we can say, more power in the family. They will be free from violence. Nobody will be able to abuse them. No beating, no scolding, or no emotional abuse, and so on. And also they are supposed to give them protection in their house. They cannot say, you get out from my house. The wife also has got equal right in the family. So she cannot be sent out from the family, from the house. She should be allowed to continue to live in that family with the proper food and with the proper monetary or money and so on. Because she may need money to buy her dress, buy her medicine and so on. So the husband cannot say, I will not give you any money, I will not give you any medicine, I will not give you treatment. He cannot say. If he says, then she can complain against him in the court, in the police station, and he will be punished. So the men will be afraid to ill-treat women. So they have to respect them and give them equal power, equal share in the family. So now begins another long journey. Yes, now the government has to ensure that this law is implemented and enforced. So the law is made in the parliament, and it is assured that women will be protected. And now what is the duty is the duty of the executive to implement this law. So if anybody has violated the rights of women, then they should be punished. That is the duty of the executive, the ministers, all the government officers, police, all these people are executive. It is their duty to implement this law and make sure that the law is practiced, the law is giving real protection to the women. So what do you understand by domestic violence? So we can answer. What do you understand by domestic violence? We said domestic violence means any violence that is given to women in the country, in the family, whether it can be emotional violence, physical violence, sexual violence, all these are included in the domestic violence. And listed two rights that the new law helps achieve for women who are survivors of violence. So the women will be able to get, after passing of this law, the women will be able to get equal rights in the family. They will be given the right to continue to live in their family. They will be given they have the right to receive monetary benefits from the family and so on to meet her needs. Can you list one process that was used to make more people aware of the need of this law? So how did these women leaders make every woman in the country aware about the need for this new law? Through public meeting, public gatherings, through discussion and so on. And also they use TV news channels, newspaper channels and so on. And often women who face violence or are abused are seen as victims. But women struggle in several different ways to survive these situations. Therefore, it is more accurate to refer to them as survivors rather than as victims. So, women very often they are struggling in the domestic violence, they are beaten up and so on. So, they are considered as weak in these situations. But now, after this law, they are not called victims, but they are called survivors. And as the above example shows, the role of citizens is crucial in helping Parliament frame different concerns that people might have into laws. So from establishing the need for a new law to its being passed, at every stage of the process, the voice of the citizen is a crucial element. This voice can be heard through TV reports, newspaper editorials, radio broadcasts, local meetings, all of which help in making the work that Parliament does more accessible and transparent to the people. So, here this new law for the women was made because the women of the country took initiative to conduct public meetings, public gatherings and make all the people aware about the problems that women are facing. And they also made the Parliament members also aware about this problem. So if women were not to take this initiative, then this new law would not have taken place. The old law continued to function in the country and the women would continue to suffer. So because these women took initiative to make it aware other people about the sufferings of women and for the need for a new law, we can say we are blessed with this new law. The women have protection from violence. So that is how people play their role. The citizens play their role in making the country aware about the problems they face. Making the Parliament aware about the problem people face. So it is their responsibility as well. Now, some of the laws that government make may be unpopular or it may be controversial law also. It may not be useful for everyone. Some laws government make, it may be helpful for a group of people, but other people may be suffering. Let us see, in that case, what shall we do or what will the government do? Unpopular or controversial laws. Unpopular or controversial laws. So, let's see what will be the government's response to that. Let us now look at the situation where Parliament passes laws that turn out to be very unpopular. Sometimes a law can be constitutionally violent and hence legal. But it can continue to be unpopular and unacceptable to people because they feel the intention behind it is unfair and harmful. So if Parliament passes a law, then it becomes lawful. Everyone is allowed to or everyone is expected to follow that law. Cannot violate because it is already accepted and passed in the Parliament and it has become a law for the country. Therefore, it is everyone's responsibility to obey that law. But that law may not be good for everyone. It may be supporting for some people, it may be harmful for some people and so on. So hence the people might criticize this law, hold public meetings write about it in newspapers, report to TV news channels, etc. So, if people are not happy with a law that is passed by the parliament, what will they do? They will start criticizing that law. They will start protesting against that law. And so, how will they criticize? They will not simply sit at home and criticize, but they will report it to the newspaper. They will hold public meetings, call big gathering of the people, and they will say this law is against this, these are the problems of this law. So they will make it, announce it to the public. They will write, discuss in the TV channels, news channels, and they will write in the newspapers and so on. So that way, people will make, the leaders will make the people aware about the problems of this new law, which is not good, made by the parliament. And in a democracy like ours, citizens can express their unwillingness to accept repressive laws framed by the parliament. So repressive means the law that is used for controlling others, pressing others. So in a country like ours, our country is a democratic country and the people have got freedom to express their views. So if they feel that government has passed a law that is repressive, a law that is meant for controlling the people, then they can protest against it. When a large number of people begin to feel that a wrong law has been passed, then there is pressure in the parliament to change this. So, if there is a lot of protest is going on in our country, then parliament, the government will be under pressure. We have to change this law, otherwise people will go on protesting. There will be a lot of commotion in the country, a lot of protest in the country, and the government's image will go down. So they will be forced to change that law. For example, various municipal laws on the use of space within municipal units limits often make hawking and street vending illegal. So now we know in our towns it is more and more populated. The towns become more and more congested and there is no place for the people to go. Traffic is too high and always occurring the traffic jam and so on. So but we see people in the towns, some people they push the tela or they push the cycle rickshaw and they carry vegetables and other things and go around sell to the people. Or some people sit on the roadside and sell vegetables and other things. So they are called street vendors or hawkers. Those who are carrying around things and selling in different places. And some people who are occupying the road, so that people who are walking on the road they find difficult, the place is blocked and so on. So most of the cities they make law. Here no more street vendors, no more hawkers. Nobody is allowed to sell things on the road and so on. So that is a law that is passed by the local government or panchayat government or municipal government in most of the towns and cities. So if that law is passed, what happens? No one will dispute the necessity for some rules to keep public space open so that people can walk on the pavements easily. So everybody knows if these shopkeepers are not there, if these vegetable sellers are not there, then we will be able to walk freely on the road. Road will be more free. That is one thing. It is helpful for people who are walking on the road. But one also cannot deny that hawkers and the vendors provide essential service cheaply and effectively, efficiently to the millions living in the large city. But at the same time we know because of these hawkers are there, because of these street vendors are there, the people living in the town, they are able to receive lot of help. They are able to buy things from this person. They will bring and give you inside, in front of your house, at your doorstep, and they will charge you less. If you go to the big shop and buy, you have to pay tax and the price of the things will be high. But if these people come and sell things on the roadside or in front of your house, then you get efficient service from them and also cheap service. You need to pay less money. And also it is a means of livelihood. So by allowing them to do business on the road, they are also able to earn some money to survive for their family. So when we make a law, for some people it is beneficial, but so many other people who are depending on their livelihood, they are affected. So we need to realize a law can have two phases. It may be good for some person and it may be badly affecting another person. So in the case of these street vendors, they are badly affected because the government tells them no more selling things on the roadside. But at the same time, it is helping other people who are traveling on the road. They will be able to move freely without any block and so on. So, if the law favors one group and disregards the other, it will be controversial and lead to conflict. So, in the case of this law made in the maybe municipal council about the selling of things, vegetables on the roadside, it is helping some people and affecting badly another group of people like the business people. And people who think that the law is not fair can approach the court to decide on the issue. The court has the power to modify or cancel laws if it finds that they don't adhere to the constitution. So if people have got complaint about this law, for example here, the street vendors, they are affected. They can go to the court and say, because of this new law, we are not allowed to live our life. We are not able to do our business. We are not able to survive. We are not income. So then the court will study that case and see if this law is going against the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India says every person has got the right to live. So right to live means not simply place alone is not enough for living. He should have the work, he should be able to earn money and so on. So if a court finding that this law is against the Constitution of India, then the court will say this law is cancelled, this law is banned, it will not be practiced here. So the court is there to protect the rights of the individuals, and the government will be forced to change that law and make a better law which will help everyone equally. Otherwise, some people will be enjoying benefits of the law, other people will be suffering the law. That should not happen. And as you read in the earlier section of the rule of law, Indian nationalists protested and criticized arbitrary and repressive laws being enforced by the British. History provides us with several examples of people and communities who have struggled to end unjust laws. In your class 7 book, you read of how Rosa Parks, an African American woman, refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white man on 1st December 1955. She was protesting the law on segregation that divided up all the public spaces, including the streets, between the whites and the American Africans. Her refusal was a key event that marked the start of the civil rights movement, which led to the Civil Rights Act in 1964, which prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, religion or national origin in USA. So we speak about another law that was passed in America. In America there was a law that there is space is divided. This place is meant for white people. This place is meant for white people. So the vehicles also, the public transport also, people they cannot travel together. The white cannot go and sit in the black place, or the black cannot go and sit in the white place. It is always fixed. So there was a woman called Rosa Parks. So she protested and she was sitting in a seat and the white came and she is supposed to get up and give them the place. She said, "This is my place, therefore I am not going to give to others." So she refused to. So many others also began to follow her example, and there was a civil protest. All the black people, they were protesting that law should be equal. Whether we are white people or black people, the law should be equal and everyone should be equal before the law. So lot of protest was there. At the end, the law was made in the parliament. It is called Civil Rights Act. So every person will be given equal rights, so that they can continue to enjoy equal right before the law. So that was the situation not only in India but also in America. Everywhere people were discriminated. So now people are aware about their laws, about their rights, and they try to protest when their rights are violated, and they try to get equality before the law. And do you remember the photo essay on the women's movement in class 7 book? Last year you may be remembering that you saw the photo movement of the women. The photos there showed the different ways in which citizens can protest, campaign and show solidarity. The following pictures point to other ways in which people protest unjust laws. So, the people protest about unjust laws. So we can see in your book also, some people are protesting. They are keeping arrests. It is a protest by which students? Polytechnic students. So maybe the government made a law that is going to affect them badly. Therefore, they came out in the street, protest, arrest us, we are going to break this law. If you want, you arrest us. They are challenging the government, they are protesting for their rights. So we need to remember that our role as citizens does not end with electing our representatives. So we elect our representatives, our MPs during the election. So with the election, our responsibility is not at all. We have some more responsibility. Always be alert in finding out the problems of the society, and we need to make the public aware about that, and we must reach it to the parliament so that the government can make law. They will be forced to make law because of the protest. Rather, it is then that we begin to use newspapers and the media to carefully chart the work that is being done by our MPs and criticize their actions when we feel it is required. So, we need to write on the newspaper about the problems of the people. We have to give the news to the TV channels, and we need to analyze or examine what is my MP doing. I have elected him to the parliament. What is he doing there? Is he only sitting and sleeping there? Or is he discussing about the problems of the people? Is he asking the government to make law for protecting the rights of the people, and so on? We have to see whether these rights of the people are protected or not. Till it is protected, we have to go on protesting. We have to go on trying. That is our duty. That is our responsibility. Thus, what we should bear in mind is that it is the extent, involvement and enthusiasm of the people that helps Parliament performing its representative functions properly. So, when we do this, when we perform this properly, then we can say we are really acting as responsible citizens of the country. Or we just elect our MP and we say, I will not bother, I will say, if he wants to let him do something, my work is over, I finished, I joined the election, and I will not bother anything, whatever he wants to let him do. So if you think that way, then we are a failure. We are not making use of our rights, our duties as citizens of a democratic country. So let us do our level best as responsible citizens. Let us be closely aware about what our representatives are doing, our members are doing. Let us really be aware about it, and let us fight for our rights. Let us not allow us to continue to suffer under the government, but let us fight for our duties, fight for our rights, and always let us be aware about the social problems and bring it to the media, bring it to the public, and force the government to make law so that everyone in the country will have equal share, and they will be equal before the law, and they will be always standing for the truth and for the welfare of everyone. So we come to the end of this lesson, and let us meet again in the next class. Next class we shall study geography, and until then, bye. Thank you.